Today on the Rumors Comedy Cast, Dan Glasswick talks to Matt Falk. Clean comedy versus dirty, religion versus alcohol, and Dan drops a bomb on Matt. Stay tuned and follow at Rumors Comedy.
Whenever you're ready. Okay. Welcome to Rumors Comcast episode. Okay, we're just gonna start again. We don't need that. Welcome to Rumors Comcast. Fuck off. Can you give me a clap? Welcome to Rumors Comcast episode 38. We're here with headliner Matt Falk. How you doing, Matt? How was the show tonight?
The show was everything I ever dreamed it would be.
Okay, good answer. Good answer. We're just gonna get right into it then.
Let's do this. This is exciting. This is great.
I'm
Episode
very excited
38? What an honor.
to be interviewing you because I have a lot invested in this.
Yeah.
In this,
Money.
I want to know kind of about your roots of comedy. When did you first think you were funny?
Well, I was, like, my family was an entertaining family. They were like, so my dad was in show business and my mom was in show business. So, like, my dad was like a singer and my mom was a singer, and they would do their, like, comedy stuff. They would do comedy songs and back and forth. So I grew up in that kind of environment.
Okay.
Right? It's like, how do you not... That's not true. No, I was just the obnoxious kid in high school, right? And then I figured out a way to get paid for it. So I knew I was funny because the teachers would throw me out of the class. And I was like, that's something.
I gotta figure out
because I would get
school's not working.
That's right. I would get little Snickers and then okay, get out, and then I'd be like, but I'm gonna come back tomorrow, and that's gonna be tighter.
But there were other people in school that also got, in trouble.
Yeah, drugs.
So that was the differentiation was drugs versus laughs?
Laughs. I was hooked on the laughter from day one, Dan.
A little bit of a high there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your first foray into entertainment was magic.
Yes, it was.
How did that kind of come to be?
I feel like this is a CBC interview. Done your research?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no, there's going to be a lot of research done here.
Steve Martin said magic is the only talent you can buy. So that's how it started. You see magic and you're like, I want that. So you go to a magic shop and you buy it. And then I was like 15, 16. I was doing magic at kids' parties. My dad's very business-minded, not entertainer. He's a business-minded guy. So I was doing like corporate stuff at 16 with magic, and then it just kind of slowly faded away and comedy took over more and more.
But you're from Niverville.
Yes.
Which is a small town
in
Manitoba. So how did you expand your name, your brand? How did you get out with magic to go on to corporate things from Niverville?
That's a huge question. I have no idea because I feel bad like trying to give people advice because like it just worked for me.
Right.
Like I'm like how do I get corporates? I'm like, oh, it's easy. Your dad just drives you to them, and then they hear about you, and then they book more, and then more people book them, and then you charge more and more, and then you can do it full time. It's super easy. Like that's like it just kind of worked. I don't know how. I had that image right away with I think corporates. I was always clean. I was always, just trying to impress people. I was always kind of big and animated, and I could make old people and young people laugh at the same time. I think that was the other thing too, and I could entertain both groups.
Sure.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you went from magic to comedy.
Yes.
Were you good at magic? Like, was it something?
No. I loved it though. I loved it, but I was so bad. I would mess up all the time. I was doing a zombie ball trick where the ball floats under the silk. My favorite ever. And a kid reached up and like grabbed the cloth away, and the zombie ball fell and broke, and you could see the gimmick and everything that was holding it up. And I was just standing there, just all vulnerable, and I was like, this is all, I remember saying, sometimes magic doesn't work. And that was the end of the show. The music was still playing because it didn't, it wasn't over yet. And it's just, I awkwardly cleaned up my props and just left. I was a bad magician, but I loved it.
So you love the entertainment side of things. Did you incorporate comedy into your magic?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was always trying to get laughs. I was always trying to make it entertaining. I was always doing stupid gags and things like that. And then it just started, I started getting booked for just adult parties. Like just kind of once in a while. And then I would be like, oh, well, how do I just make it funny for them? And then it would slowly transition into comedy over magic, and then less and less magic, more and more comedy. And even with the kids shows, you play to the adults a little bit more, and yeah, and it just transitioned. And then it took me a while to have magic fully out of my comedy act, because I could do 45 right off the bat, but 20 minutes was comedy, and there was a lot of magic thrown in, and so.
So do you think magic really influenced your comedy?
I think so.
That's what brought you into comedy.
Probably.
Did you think that you would be a comedian when you were doing magic?
I mean, I loved comedy too, right? It was like you don't watch magicians. Like I didn't watch magicians and go, I want to be just like that guy, right? Like Copperfield wasn't on every night on TV and just, oh yeah, like I want to be him. I was watching just for laughs, right? And I wanted to be those guys.
Yeah.
Right? I remember memorizing Ellen DeGeneres' Here and Now special, just reciting in front of a mirror. Like, that's who I wanted to be. But, so it was cool when it started transitioning more into comedy. I think I wanted that more. What was your question? Did I answer it?
I think so.
I'm doing really good. Episode 38! Hey. There's no one there.
What did you want to be growing up? What was your aspirations before magic started?
Before magic, I think I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was like a kid, but then I was like, "There's sharks," and then that was out.
Everyone, I think that's a big.
My
marine
dad
biologist
wanted me to be a football player.
Okay. No. So, what do you think you would be doing now if you weren't doing comedy?
Whoa, I'd be a pastor.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was going to be a pastor. I totally forgot about that. I was going to be a pastor as I was, right before I graduated. That was what I wanted to do. But mainly so I could sound cool, because I was really excited to go get like major in Old Testament biblical theology and then get like a pastoral degree.
Yeah.
That sounds so cool, right? And now you're ordained and but then I had felt God leading me into, he was like, no, he didn't want me in pastoral business, I guess. He was like, we got enough. Why don't you go as far away as possible over here? No. But yeah, no, I comedy shifted.
So that's a very different dynamic, is comedy versus pastor.
Kind of, but not really. Because I speak at my church now, and I do like sermons, like full-fledged, like...
Really?
Like what you would picture a sermon to be.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing those, but I'm doing them with this voice. I'm doing them like me. And it's the same thing. You have a point that you want to get across, and you got to get across in the most clear and concise way while keeping people engaged and keeping people listening. The point of comedy is to make them laugh, and the point of a sermon is to make them reevaluate the way they're thinking.
Guilty about their life.
That was the opposite of what that's what all our pastors growing up wanted us to do. That was my last sermon, was actually about the opposite of that. Was going, why do we feel so guilty? We shouldn't feel so guilty all the time. And then I switched it. Flipped it. Did the reverse.
Want to talk about your
I would have made a great pastor.
I feel the same way about myself. No, I'm completely honest.
I didn't mean to laugh.
I know it's a funny concept because I think I'm not a religious man. I don't consider myself an atheist.
You have
I'm
the
agnostic,
beard. You're halfway there.
But I've dated very religious women in the past.
That's all it takes.
And I learned how to manipulate. So I wouldn't be a very good pastor.
But you'd be successful.
Very successful.
Like you wouldn't be like you'd get to heaven and got to be like, what were you doing?
I would be.
I made the biggest church ever.
I'd be at the biggest church ever, given one of these, pow,
right,
and the people fall over.
Oh yeah.
One of those
careful.
guys.
You gotta be careful.
First album, Apple Pie and Scars. Am I saying it right? Scars and Apple Pie? Apple Pie and Scars?
Apple Pie and Scars. So the research was good, just not that good.
No, I had it written down as Apple Pie and Scars here. All right, just edit that out. Don't need that kind of negativity. All right. You seem very well adjusted and a very happy person to me. So Scars. Does that manifest itself into your comedy? Is there... Don't do this to me. Don't...
I'm fine. You bring up a lot of stuff. No, they're stretch mark scars. Did you listen to the album?
Nope. Next question. That's really what it was? Just stretch mark scars?
Stretch mark scars.
Oh.
It wasn't my idea for the title. My producer, David Drozen, wanted it to be Apple Pine Scars.
Who's David Drozen to you?
My producer.
Like of all your albums?
Of that one.
Like Kanye of your albums? Don't. It's not that funny. Okay, so scars, all right? Stretch marks. I thought it had to do with something in your heart, so, okay.
The scars in my heart are what caused me to do comedy. So now they're all void?
No, just apple pies and stretch... You know, you could have said apple pies and stretch marks. But
Is
you
that
went with
catchy?
scars.
Is that catchy, Glasswick?
I laughed. I thought it was pretty funny.
You laughed because you said it.
Because it's pretty funny. You filmed your newest special in May at the Garrick
Yeah.
this year. When's that coming out?
Should come out early next year.
Okay,
That's
and
the
what's
early
the title of that one?
2016. That one is going to be called Generational Gap. That one I got to name.
Okay,
Yeah. So
not David.
Not David. David didn't name this one.
Did he produce it?
No.
No.
I didn't mean to say that adamantly. Some guys out of Winnipeg, some wonderful guys, Strata Studios, they produced it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be a DVD. It'll be on the DVD, and and I'm really proud of it because the whole thing's about the differences between our generations. That's the thread that links it.
Huh.
Apple Pie and Scars was like a hodgepodge. It was my first 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's like all the different things that made up.
Whatever you could fit in there, and then...
Desperately trying to get to an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just going to eliminate a lot of my questions here. So you're going to Mazatlan soon.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
The lady called.
Okay. Not David.
Not David. I think, my buddy Leland Clausen
Yep.
and my buddy Corny Rempel have a connection, and they both apparently recommended me to the lady who books that, and they're both taking credit. Hey, I recommended you, and I don't know which word got me in. Maybe
Is it a show every night?
It's a show once a month, I think. They do.
No,
Apparently
but
it's
like when
amazing.
you're there.
No, I go for a week and do one show, and I get to stay in Mazatlan for a week. All inclusive. My wife's coming down with me.
Oh, don't you wish that you drank and did a lot of drugs?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is it better?
That's subjective.
Like, should I just go right to the needle drugs?
Well, and I want to talk about that now. So, I mean,
I need to learn.
I didn't even know you drank until last night. But you'll have the
It
occasional
makes it
glass
sound
of
like
wine.
I didn't know what you drank until last night. What happened last night? None of your business. No, here's the thing. People hear that I'm a Mennonite or that I wanted to be a pastor, and then they're like, "Oh, he's doing this." But there's no like rule about it. It's just a thing that it's just not me. I don't get drunk. So
Have you been drunk?
No.
No. Okay.
No. So then once in a while, I'll have a drink. I'll have a rum and Coke. I'll have some wine.
Is
it's
it
just
fun?
to drink?
Like, do you have some kind of response to it?
Like, it tastes good.
Yeah. Really?
Do you only drink to get drunk?
Yes. No, I think beer is horrible.
So you just want to forget?
I would rather have an iced tea.
Yeah.
If an iced tea could do the same as a beer would do to me, I would have an iced tea instead.
So what you do with your beer, I do with God. Right? So you have some sort of pain that you're trying to push down. So I talk to him about that, and then he talks to me, and we figure it out. And then I drink water, and then I have a wine. I'm like, this tastes good. And then you don't, and then the beer. So
I feel like I have a lot more God in my day than you then, though. Like, I'm very much
like
into
you're more
my-
spiritual.
Yeah.
Like when you're right. See, I don't know what that plane of spirituality looks like.
Haven't you ever just wanted
This
to
conversation
feel like,
took a turn that I was not expecting.
oh, it's going to go all over the place here.
Good, I can't wait.
Okay, so, and I'm only speaking from my experience here,
Yeah.
but typically after, and the people that I know that, after a really big set, after a great set,
Yeah.
you have that elation, that
Yeah.
that high, that like I don't want to come down, like
Yeah.
that is only palpable to someone that maybe has done comedy, maybe.
Right.
But a lot of people will drink
Yeah.
after that. How do you come down? How do you deal with those?
Yeah, I talk to people. Like my wife is a great. She's my best friend, so we talk, and she writes comedy with me, so I can talk to her about it. But you buzz for a long time afterwards. I don't. If it's a really good show, like falling asleep is the only thing that really like levels you out. But you just kind of stay there. You just kind of like you hang out.
Uncool
And,
is that?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you go to bed that night. You're like, that was the best day ever, and you're going to bed, and then you wake up the next morning. I woke up the morning after my shoot at the Garrick Center, elated. I was so happy, but I had forgotten a very important punchline. And I only realized it the next morning. I was like, I went to bed like, oh, it was the best day of my life. And I woke up like this. No. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. Because I all of a sudden remembered I ruined it.
Oh, if you would have drank, you would have forgot that you forgot it.
See?
And it
I feel like
wouldn't have
you've
been...
got it figured out. We should do more of this.
Who is the best Batman?
My wife is screaming into my ear right now.
Okay.
And she is yelling Michael Keaton.
Oh, so good.
And she's yelling it quite loudly. And she's very adamant. I didn't grow up with Michael Keaton. The first Batman I ever saw was George Clooney. So my whole life I thought George Clooney was cool. I now realize he was the worst Batman. And Christian Bale is the best Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Bones.
So
I don't know. I was gonna have questions about your marriage, but obviously she'll laugh at your jokes. Okay, and this is speaking from my experience as well. Traditionally, people kind of cut their teeth and hone their skills at an open mic.
yes.
But you typically don't go to open mics.
No, I want to though. You guys are so cool, and I want to be part of the underground scene, but I can't wedge myself in there.
Do you really feel that way?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, good. My next question is going to be beautiful then. But then where do you find that you do work on your material? Because I mean, for me, it's almost impossible to work on new material here because rumors would rather have polish, I feel sometimes, than they would rather have something that is polished that's not as good than to have a premise that is really funny but not polished.
Yeah, I work on them during my full-length shows. I know that I do at Rumors. I work on them. Any club I'm at, I'll work. Corporates, I'll work out stuff. I'll sandwich. I'll develop, and it'll just it grows like that.
That doesn't scare you?
Terrifies me, of course.
Okay.
Of course, yeah. But once in a while, I'll head to an open mic or a room like that, a low stakes room, and I'll be able to just try stuff. One time I went to a lower stakes room. I did like 7 minutes, all brand new. I wanted to just try some stuff. And a guy came up to me afterwards. He's like, yeah, it was a good set. Just a fan. Not a fan, just a guy who was there. And I'm like, thanks. I'm like, yeah, I was working on a lot of new stuff. He's like, yeah. Have you ever heard of like sandwiching it in between like established bits? And I'm like, don't talk to me right now. I don't feel like, because it didn't go over that well. And I was like, you're giving me, no, I never heard of the sandwiching technique. That's really good. And then you just gotta, yeah.
So why do you feel like, you want to come into the open mics, but you feel...
Well, that's always like, the underground scene is like, that's like, it's cool and it's alive. And it seems like really fun.
So cool.
Right? And I left for Toronto. When I left, Winnipeg was kind of in a stalemate. It wasn't moving a lot, comedy-wise. So then as soon as I left, all of a sudden it started booming. And I was reading about you guys, and you guys were doing all this crazy stuff. And I was like, man, I wish I was there. And then I came back, and then it was like, oh, it's weird. I don't just want to, like, bust in and, like, give me a spot. Like, so you have to, like, develop those friendships. You have to do it organically. So that's what I'm trying to do now with this podcast. That's the only reason I agreed to this, is because I'm hoping that me and you can become really good friends, and you'll let me do one of your rooms.
I don't have a room.
Why am I here? What is the point of any of this?
We can just edit this out as well.
Can't I talk to Verville or something?
Verville doesn't. He does have a room. He does have a room. Have you done his room?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the only, I think that's one of the only rooms I've done. And Mayor's room, Nelson Mayer.
Nelson Mayer. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because that's a very, I mean, because I'll get into that later. But I mean, you have a very clean, squeaky clean.
Yes.
Squeaky clean.
Yeah.
And traditionally his rooms are a little bit...
Yeah, and he's actually told me, he's like, I'm trying to get the guys to clean stuff up and to try to like be more, like to not just go to the lowest common denominator.
That's just lip service.
Yeah, right. But no, I've really enjoyed his rooms. I do good everywhere. But sometimes the contrast seems to people like it's going to be hurtful to me. Yeah. But it's usually not. Funny is funny.
I think we were talking about that earlier, is that, like I had a joke about crack.
Right.
And
solid.
And my preconception of you was that you would be like, oh my God, like I'm going on stage with the guy that
has talked about crack.
Doing crack.
Yeah. That's me. Just super judgmental. Kind of, if you even mention crack. No, of course. No, this is the industry I'm in. I've heard a lot worse than that. No, it doesn't, I don't care. It doesn't offend me at all.
I've seen, when I Googled you,
yeah,
Google imaged you, you always part your hair the same way.
Yeah, man.
Have you ever done it differently?
There was a time in my life when I did, and it was rough. It wasn't easy for me. And I thought I told you specifically that I didn't want to talk about it.
Okay, next. Sorry. This is going to get into the meat and potatoes, where I really feel like this is the part that I'm really excited to talk to you about. And it's going to get raw.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through some stuff.
Okay.
I didn't like you when I first...
Is that true?
For the first probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And it had...
So what years were these then?
2009 till about 12 or 13.
I didn't like me in those years either.
But and I want to give you context. It had nothing to do with you, and more to do with my jealousy and my insecurity, and actually, like, without you doing anything,
right?
You made me learn a lot about myself.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I question, what it came down to, and what I thought, and there was a lot that I was just like, this guy is hyped so much, and I think it kind of came down to like this clean comedy,
right,
versus dirty comedy, where I felt when I first started, I was like, I'm getting lumped into dirty,
okay,
immediately. So here's this guy who just does clean, who's just happy-go-lucky, and did you consider yourself a clean comedian, or did you get called that before you considered yourself that?
It's a great question. I think I called myself at first because I knew that there was a market for it. So we're all looking for a niche, right? At least I was. So I think I called myself it, and then it like took off. And then I was called it too much. Then it was like, there was a point where I was like, I need to stop saying this word because it's becoming a negative thing. Because there was this weird shift where everyone started thinking of clean as just not funny. Where I was very proud of the fact that I could do a set and there could be kids in the audience. Right? That's what I grew up with too, like doing the magic and that kind of stuff. It's who I am, it's how I crafted it. So I called myself that, and then as it started being told back to me, and I was like, this is negative. Why are people looking at this negatively? So then I started but I still use it because it still helps. I
just want to let the viewers know here that I saved that. I told Matt a little bit about the podcast. I saved that. I did not like you.
Oh, that was the bombshell.
I just wanted to see the visceral response from that.
Let's go back. Roll my visceral response. Can we do that?
I didn't like you. But, the thing is that you're undeniable. You're and I'm going to pump your tires here. You're undeniable, and you're also one of the nicest people I've ever met, and that is so frustrating to me because I'm like, where's the other shoe drop? Is that the?
I don't know. Is that an expression?
Where's the other foot drop?
Where does the other foot in my shoe? That's it.
It pissed me off.
Yeah.
And part of that you were so nice pissed me off so much more.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's not a question. I'm just telling you what's up.
I'm sorry. But that doesn't help me apologizing because you didn't like me because I was nice. So if I would curse at you.
No, like I said, it was my own jealousy and insecurity.
I get it. You go through people. That's what we do. We go through these things. We look at someone and we make a perception because we can see ourselves. We see what's deep down inside.
This isn't a question, but this is the answer.
Right. That we see what's deep down inside, and then we look at someone else and they have their mask on, just like we do, but we don't see their deep down, and we just assume they don't have any dirty, and then you're just like, because we want whatever they're pretending to have, and then that's how jealousy happens. That's how but it gets solved like this. This is how it gets solved. Communication. You just talk to the other person, and then it goes away.
Oh, I think you won me over. You just at a certain
How did I
point,
win you over
just...
without actually meeting you? Did you just kind of realize?
No. We had met each other. I didn't like you after meeting you for a long time.
Oh.
It was just that you were undeniable, and just a genuinely nice guy.
Well, I'm glad that we're friends now. I'm glad we're really
I'm
super
glad
close
too.
friends.
But this brings me into what I want to talk about is the clean versus the dirty.
Yeah.
So we'll start off easy. What's the dirtiest joke you ever wrote?
What would you consider? Okay, I would.
Have you ever wrote a joke
it?
that you were like, I think it's funny. I will laugh, but I will never tell that on stage.
That happens back there, sure. And then you're like, no, and then you just have to. That's the thing. That's what I like about my writing style is that the first thing that comes to your head is not necessarily the funniest thing. So if you can push past that first thing, and then the second thought, and then the third, fourth, by the fifth, sixth, that's when it starts getting really good. So that's what I've trained myself to do. Because your natural instinct is sometimes dirty. But this isn't dirty, but I had a joke for a while. That I specifically don't have it on anything so it doesn't stick around with anything. But I had a line where I said, my first car was terrible. It's a 1996 Honda Civic. Ran about as smooth as Terry Fox. So that was the line. And oh! Manitoba hero Terry Fox?
Holy. I'll say the S and the F.
Manitoba hero. Yeah. So
please continue.
There was a while. So I would say that line. And then I took it out because I was like, it's not worth it. It's not worth the groans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he was a great guy.
Yeah. But I've done that too. I've done where I consider too far.
Yeah.
And I'm much dirtier
Here's the point.
Than you are.
You have to ask yourself, is it worth getting them upset with you? Because what's your point? Is your point to make them laugh, or is your point to be edgy and pushing the boundaries so that we can go back to our comedian friends and be like, oh, he's super edgy, he pushes the boundaries, right? That's what I have to deal with. Mm-hmm. Because whenever I want to push the boundaries, it's never for them, it's for me, right? But I'm not in this job for me. I should be in it for them. So if a joke I do isn't funny enough or is too crude that makes them shut down and not laugh more, then I'm defeating my own purpose. I'm fighting against myself. But it all depends what your purpose is. If your purpose is to be the guy who's edgy and pushes the boundaries, then that's what you do.
Have you sworn on stage?
I've said stuff that I wouldn't say now. Yeah, but I've never.
Have you ever said the F? Yeah, have you said the F word?
No.
Never?
In life?
In life.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But because if I say the F word, I would say fuck all the time.
Is this just going right to my mom? Is that the point?
But
that you're just gonna look, Irene? Look what your son said in high school.
That's not where it's
I've
going.
dealt with
I think
this.
we can admit that we're mature people at this point.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to swear. That's the thing. That's the difference. Is I don't want to be that person.
Okay, but could you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Apple. Say apple.
Apple.
Okay, that's easy enough, right?
Are you gonna say, stretch my lips and do it again, or what? The thing where you say it like this, and then it sounds like you're saying a cuss word.
What are you saying?
Finish your thing.
So, I got probably another 5 minutes of those. I'm gonna just scroll through this here. Puck was the other one. Puck. That's a good one. You ever played that with your friends? Where you're like, I'm swearing, but I'm not really swearing, so it's okay. Is there any other words that you might be able to? Okay. So I want to talk a little bit more about clean versus dirty, because you think when you started, you mentioned that it was a niche thing and that you wanted to define yourself as a clean comedian.
It was who I was. Yeah.
Do you think at a certain point, though, that people get put into certain camps where people will define you as a clean versus dirty comic?
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, I think the ultimate goal, which you touched on earlier, is just
To be a funny comic.
to be a funny comic.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah.
Do you think by people putting us in a certain camp that creates, because I want to say my camp is the best, because people want to say, who do you
Right.
want to hire?
Right.
Well, the funny ones,
Yeah.
you know, or the people that are, touching on this.
Right.
Do you think it almost kind of pits people against each other in comedy
Totally.
to put them in that camp?
It can. It totally can. I mean, I think we get it. Like, the only reason we would advertise a certain part of our personality is to somehow make an advantage in this business. It's hard enough, right? So if you, have something that'll help you go a little further, you use it, right? But other people put us in boxes, right? And then, so, the dirty thing is not usually something you advertise unless you're, really filthy, right? Because then you're, known for that.
Right.
But the majority of comics would be dirty, but they wouldn't have that on their website. Canada's #1 dirty comedian, right? That doesn't happen. So other people do that, and I think that can be dangerous. The audience says that about us, and then we start kind of looking at each other like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should, but yeah.
Well, and I think that you're absolutely right, is that, it creates this kind of we look at each other where there's really all we're trying to do is make people laugh.
Comedy's about honesty. You have to be yourself. I can't be somebody else on stage. When I'm doing offensive jokes that are a little off the cusp, or that's not the phrase. When I'm doing jokes that are too edgy or whatever, it doesn't come across as natural. If I were to start swearing on stage, people would look at me like I was faking it, right? It wouldn't come across real. You have to be yourself.
What have you ever tried?
If I did that, then maybe, right? But that's the point, is that you have to be yourself. You got to be yourself on stage.
Have you ever had a show, because you're, I was watching interviews, squeaky clean.
Yeah,
Squeaky clean.
Right.
Have you ever had someone come up to you after a show and said, I found this part to be a little bit too offensive?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what would that be?
If you go back to my album, there's a water park joke I have where the line is where I would get pantsed at water parks. They hold your pants and you go down the water slide. And there's which would be fine if it was one big long tube, but it's not. It's little tubes connected, so there's little divots, little razor sharp divots. You're at the you go down the slide head first on your stomach, buck naked, and now at the top of the slide you're Catholic. You get to the bottom, you're Jewish. That's the big kaboom at the end of the joke. And that line would get me into trouble all the time at really, really conservative events, and it would really annoy me. Jewish.
All right, sorry. They get you into trouble. You start. And then you finish. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was something that someone found offensive?
Yeah. And that annoys me because so I'm thinking about something else. And that it does. It annoys me because it's true. It's not offensive at all. And these are people that have never seen stand-up comedy before, and they're looking at me like, oh, that was too risky. And it's like, you don't know what you're saying. Like, go to any open mic night ever, and you'll be crawling back to me like, oh, please, oh, master of squeaky clean. But
if we could not put it into the open mic, but if we could just say
anywhere.
Do you think that there's almost like a pristine version that is almost unattainable of the cleanest of clean comedy?
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, you're the cleanest guy I know.
Yeah.
So if people are telling you, oh,
yeah,
I've been offended,
you're not going to make everybody happy.
There will be a point where someone will say,
my album had to be edited for certain stations on Sirius Satellite.
Really?
I don't understand it either, but everyone's going to get offended at something.
You shouldn't have done that.
I tried it out, and it stayed on the album because it got a laugh. And they said, take it off, Falk. And I said, I'll do my best. I called David. What can we do here, buddy? He went in there.
Producer David.
That's right. That's right. That is right. What you just said.
Okay.
Can I have a vodka?
Oh, we're going on 40 minutes. Yeah, tequila 2, please. And we're going to end this quickly. Who are your comedy heroes?
Ellen DeGeneres, when she was doing stand-up. I loved Ellen. I watched a lot of Robin growing up. Eddie Izzard was a big...
Was there certain points, because Robin, I know, maybe he wasn't necessarily so dirty, but he had a very troubled life.
People like Jim Gaffigan, Brian Regan, Jerry Seinfeld. Even Ellen was very clean. These people that could do it very clean.
Yeah.
I started watching a lot more, too, when I realized this is the way I was going. Yeah.
Is the phone number on your website your own cell number?
Yes. Yes, it is.
People...
You know what's amazing is for the first time ever, I booked a show via text. I loved it.
Where?
I don't remember.
Oh,
sorry. But do it. Text me. We'll book a show.
Homegrown competition.
Yeah.
That's all I wrote down. You did it this year, and gotta say, we're really proud.
Thank you.
And it
means a lot coming from you. You had to really swallow your pride there, from a man who hated me, to saying congratulations, and you're the funniest guy I know. That means a lot coming from you.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't
for you to sit here on your own podcast
misdirected.
And say, "You, Matt, inspire me now."
Matt Falk is going to be here.
That means so much
for
as a whole.
The rest
entity.
Of the week.
I just want to say,
honestly, it does mean a lot, because they only started doing auditions here within the last few years. To notice that Manitoba and Winnipeg had something.
We have so much. We have so much here.
And for you to go there, I mean, a homegrown competition is probably one of the biggest deals that you could be involved in.
Thank you. But let me say this. Even the year that I got selected, as I was performing, I was standing in the back of the room going, I'm not going to get picked again. That was the best I could do, and I'm probably not going to get picked because I'm watching all these Winnipeggers walk up. Some guys that I had never seen perform before were just walking up and killing it, and I was like, what is happening right now? This city has so much, And I felt honored not just to get selected from Canada, but to be selected out of the pool here in Winnipeg was an honor even. Because there's some incredible talent. Some. A lot of garbage.
In every city. Well, this has been Rumors Comedy Cast, episode 38. What an asshole Matt Falk has been. Please go see him. He is truly...
Even without the finger, you would have just said what an apple Matt Falk has been.
That's a good thing.
Okay.
Like a golden delicious.
Do the closer.
Go see him. Incredibly talented, incredibly funny.
That's kind.
Please, when you do know, let us know when your album's coming out. We will all make sure to watch it and know the scars are stretch marks next time. But hey,
thank you, Mike.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. Bro.
Thank you. Not a problem. Steve Danforth, Rumors Comedy Cast number 38, and we're out. 41 minutes. Sorry, John. Sorry, Matt.
Great job, Dan. That was wonderful. Wonderful.
I had a lot more, but there we go.
So, I was this of all the people that I've interviewed so far.